Let me have a quick conversation with you about how to properly bid on delivery jobs. Son, daughter, what I want you to stop is I want you to really stop losing money when you bid on delivery jobs. You got to have the proper formula to make sure that whenever you get into a bidding war, if you want to go that way, that you are able to come out on top. Okay, you want to if you say, listen, I want $35 per hour, then that means you have done the calculation. You know exactly how much you're making. What's your profit margin? So do not underbid yourself. Do not sell yourself too short. No way, Jose. Okay, so in today's conversation, I want to explain everything to you so you have a clear idea how to play the game. So here are the steps I really want you to follow right now. See, the whole thing is when preparing bids for your customers, you need to keep several things in mind. Several things. I didn't say one. Several things. So the first thing I want you to pay attention to is what? Mileage. The thing is, if a client calls you, if a local shipper calls you, say, listen, I want you to really deliver the job for me and blah, 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 blah. The first thing I want you to pay attention to right now is how many miles are we talking about? Because see, the thing is that you are going to drive your ass out of the house and you're going to go like around town and delivering jobs or whatever. But if you have not counted properly the mileage, you are going to lose money. See, the whole thing is when we talk about delivery business, I don't care if you're driving a box truck. I don't care if you're driving a Sprinter van. I don't care if you're driving a cargo van. You only have 4 ways to monetize your services. And I want you to remember those 4 ways. Do not forget, you have RPM, rate per mile. You have RPL, rate per load. You have RPH, rate per hour. And you have RPC, rate per contract. Those are the 4. This is the quartet I want you to remember. This is how you actually monetize your business. So today we're talking about the mileage. So if somebody's charging you if somebody's saying, you're going to drive around town for like 50 miles, whatever, you want to multiply how much you want to charge per mile and you add 20%. 20%. Don't even think about it. Don't even try to calculate whatever. Just take out your phone, and if somebody wants you like let's say you're charging like $20 per mile, right? Not $20, I'm sorry, $2 per mile. And somebody wants you to drive around town for 50 miles. So that's $100. $100 times 20%, $120. That's it. Don't even think about it. Okay, so welcome back by the way to the show. I really appreciate having you here. The first thing you need to do if you want to properly bid on delivery jobs, you want to go by the mileage. The second thing I want you to pay attention to is the load. Oh, this is boy, this is kind of crazy. We see a lot of delivery drivers here in this industry. They're actually underbidding themselves. They're selling themselves short. I mean, because you know why? Because the thing is, depending on the load, you are actually going to spend a lot of time, not only because you're thinking that, hey, listen, if they call my ass and say, just come and just get that load and go deliver it. Well, you don't think about the time it takes to actually set up the load. You don't think about the time, like if you're going to spend 1 or 2 hours setting up the load, putting the load in the van and then unload it. So this unload time, if you take 1 hour here, 1 hour there, that's a lot of time that you're wasting. So you got to account for that too. That's why you want to use what we call the RPC, the rate per contract, not the rate per load, but you can use the RPL or the RPC. So rate per load and rate per contract, because sometimes the rate per contract is a lot better, because then you can actually give the client a holistic, like an all-in-one sort of rate. Okay, this is important. Because, if you're asking my ass to load 50 pounds versus load half let's say 500,000 pounds, this is really a big difference. Okay. I mean, I'm just exaggerating here, but I mean, you know the point. I mean, you get the point, right? From 50 pounds to 500 pounds, there's a big ass difference. And it's really important because you are talking about your cargo van actually going through wear and tear. So the last thing you don't want your car to break on the highway. Okay, if you're somewhere on the I-17 or I-7 or I-27 driving and going somewhere and then your Sprinter van breaks, this is kind of crazy. I mean, if you're doing suburban delivery, this is even crazier. So be very careful. If a client wants to send you something, whatever, you want to ask for the load. If the load is particularly heavy, then that could bring in an additional charge. Remember that you have a hand truck with you, as this will make it a lot easier to transport heavy or awkward items. Okay, for heavy loads, many couriers do something like, if it's under 25 pounds, there is no additional cost. But if it's over 25 pounds, then that will be an additional fee of 10 cents for each pound after 25 pounds. Do the same thing, boss. The third thing I want you to pay attention to is the speed. Okay, so the thing here is that the client might call you and say, "Listen, I want this to be delivered ASAP." Okay, what does ASAP mean? Well, I'm probably working on something there, but you want me to drop whatever I'm doing, which means what? I have an opportunity cost here. I'm losing money. I'm losing revenue, and you telling me you are asking me to drag myself to your project. I have no problem with that. I have no problem. Listen, as a matter of fact, I'll load everything you want me to load. I'll load it for you. So what is it for me? What is in it for me right there? So what you want to do here is that you want to pay attention to speed. If you're asked to deliver the package or other items in a particularly speedy fashion, such as within an hour or two after you were called for the job, then an additional fee is appropriate. So rush service is when you are asked to pick up an item and drop it off within 2 hours. And many couriers charge an additional 10% for any rush service hours. Okay, so boss, I want you to really think about that. This is where you have to apply what we call the RPH, the rate per hour. Here, you can't really apply the rate per mile because it's really fast. Usually when they ask you to actually deliver something real fast, it's usually within the confines of a city. Like you probably let's say you are in the Bronx and somebody calls you in downtown Manhattan and say, "Listen, I'm currently around 59, Columbus Circle, and I want you to show up here, and I want you to drop these things at 40, like Port Authority for me, so 42nd and 8th Avenue." Okay, something like this. It's not really complicated. It's not really long. Like, you're not talking about long distances. You're talking about very short distances, but the money is there, right? So you use a rate per hour, RPH. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. What are we talking about? We are speaking about how to bid on delivery jobs, how to do it profitably, how to make sure that you always come out on top. Don't underbid yourself. Do not sell yourself short. Don't do this. And also remember this, there's something called stats. So stats service is when you are asked to pick up the item and drop it off within an hour. And so for a stat job, STAT, you need to always apply 25% extra. Okay, very important. Now let me talk to you about the when. So basically, we're talking here about timing, right? So let's say you are working, you're just home chilling, having a good time with wifey, just having a cool, cool moment, whatever. And the next thing you know, they call your ass and say, "Listen, we want you to come and deliver this." Okay. Now the thing here is that there's no problem, right? Because you are an ambitious entrepreneur. You got to make money. Got to put food on the table. The kids have to eat. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So if the delivery is taking place outside of let's say your normal business hours, then it is customary to charge extra. And if it is after hours, such as before 8 a.m. or between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m., then you need to charge like $15 to $25 to $30 extra. If it is late night, which is between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m., that's what we call the wee hours of the day, then an extra charge of $20 to $50 is appropriate. Now, the reason why I'm saying that there is a range in terms of the amount you're charging is because it depends on the geography. Remember, on this show, we have taught you that delivery business, courier business, anything you do has to be with geography, because delivery is quintessentially a geography-based business. Like if I'm somewhere in Teaneck, New Jersey, Hackensack, if I'm hauling some loads on the George Washington Bridge in New York, the amount I'm charging will not be the same thing as if somebody is in Annapolis in Maryland, or somewhere in Chicago, Illinois, or somebody is somewhere in LA or New Mexico, whatever. I mean, geography plays an important role. So anytime somebody is trying to ask you to work off hours, then you need to actually be compensated. This is where you apply the RPH. rate per hour, because that means that you're going to have to do OTR. You might have to do OTR. You'll be out of the house. You can't really you will not be able to tuck your children in bed. You wouldn't be able to make love to your spouse, whatever. I mean, those little things. Don't laugh. See, the thing is that people, when we talk about those things, people say, well, why is he talking about stuff like family? Well, you need to strike the right balance between your family, your personal life, and your work life. Otherwise, you're not going to survive in this industry. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. I don't care what anybody says. We've been in this industry for 35 years, son. 35 years, even before some of you were born. So we've seen people actually come, crush, and just leave because they have not taken care of the personal life aspect of things. The next thing I want you to think about, if you want to properly bid on delivery jobs, you got to think about the wait time. Oh boy, boys, this is so important. Now, what you want to do here is that you want to apply the RPC, the rate per contract. So if you want to properly bid on delivery job, like if a client calls you, right, and they say, listen, we want you to show up at 2 p.m. and we'll have the package ready. You just have to hold this across town. It's about 35 miles, not a problem. You just give your quote, and they accepted your quote. Okay, not a problem, deal. Now, what if you get there? What if you get to the pickup site and then you are forced to wait a few minutes because the customer does not have the package ready? What's happening there, boss? What's happening? Because what's happening here is that you are losing time. Again, going back to what I said about opportunity cost, because this slows you down. You are losing revenue. You're not a charity. You're not a charity. Like you really got to really take care of business, like for real, like literally take care of business. So this slows you down and could put you off schedule, especially with your other jobs that need to be completed that day. So it's certainly appropriate, given the circumstances, for all intents and purposes to charge an extra fee, and you will be in your right to do so. Okay, so if you have to wait, let's say under 5 minutes, don't charge anything. I mean, that'll be too cruel, right? I mean, like you're not trying to be a greedy ass that's trying to charge like clients for 5 minutes. No. 5 minutes is okay. But if you have to wait over 5 minutes, consider charging 60 cents, 60 to 75 cents. In some cases, you can even charge $1. If you are in a very competitive area, like those sort of cities where you have like the big metropolises like New York, Chicago, Dallas, LA, then you can charge more. So you want to charge for each additional minutes. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. What am I talking about here? What am I talking about? I'm speaking to you about how to properly bid on delivery jobs so you always come out on top, so that you always make money. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Now, let me give you a few pro tips. So the whole thing here is that, so if you want to properly bid on delivery jobs, you got to be in a situation where you are constantly thinking about a strategy to find and bid on delivery jobs, right? So when we talk about finding and bidding on delivery jobs, of course, we're thinking about load boards. Those are the traditional places, the platforms you can go and just get jobs. But the thing is, nowadays things are so complicated. Like in this industry, in this economy, load boards, sometimes they have stale data. They have outdated data. I think there's a little bit of tautology here. They have old data. And the thing is, some shippers, they forget to actually withdraw their data from the load boards. Normally, reputable load boards such as that, what they do is they will put a date stamp. They will put a stamp on a load board entry. So after a while, if nobody bids on it, then it just expires right away. So what you have to do here is that you have to find alternative ways to actually find loads, okay? And you can do so by basically. There are 3 ways that what we have found that really work in this industry. You can actually go to local load boards. So every city in America has a local load board, nearly every city. Okay, because what's happening here is that the shippers, or let's say the couriers, the delivery businesses in the area realizes that, hey, listen, we need to get organized, because we have to centralize. We have to have a platform, a central platform where we're able to where all shippers are able to post jobs. It's in our best interest anyway. So what you want to do is you have to go through either load boards locally. You have to go through third parties such as freight dispatchers oh, I'm blanking on this one. Freight dispatchers and we'll come back to me later on. And the thing, and the third thing here is that you have to actually use your own network. Okay, so your own network, this is kind of important. So the bottom line I'm trying to say here is that, hey, listen, you got to find ways to search for shipments and make sure that those shipments are within your niche. This is how you can make money. You can actually make money by differentiating yourself. Okay, so this is really, really important. So when we talk about freight dispatchers, when we talk about the word that I was blanking on is freight brokers. So freight brokers, so you have the brokers, you have the dispatchers, so you're able to actually find ways to have alternative sources of getting loads. But you got to really do your own networking though. This is kind of important, because do not rely all the time on external ways of getting delivery loads, of getting loads in this industry. If you want to have consistent revenue in the long run, you need to actually source your own loads, boss. This is where the juice is at. This is really where the juice is at. This is where you start making the real cash. I mean, because you know why? On load boards, I mean, a lot of shippers, they actually are not paying that much. Why? Because they are already paying fees to the load board. And if they go through a broker, they're already paying fees. If they go through a dispatcher, they're paying fees. So they really kind of hate that sort of arrangements. But they have to do it anyway, because there's nothing else. But if you're able to source your own loads, think about the money that you can make. Okay, because at the end of the day, shipping bids are really, they can be brutal, especially if you're in a very competitive area, like if you are in those big cities. Whew, can you imagine how many guys and girls are just bidding on one project? And here you are just thinking, am I doing RPC? Am I doing RPL? Am I doing RPM? Am I doing RPH? What the hell am I doing here? And it's too complicated. That's why we get like a lot of comments on our videos. People talk about, well, rates are going down, blah, 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 blah. Rates are going down because you don't know how to position yourself, boss. You have not learned to position yourself properly. That's why that's why your ass is struggling here. All right. And so you need to learn how to position yourself so you know exactly what to do. And the way you play it is exactly what I told you. You have to use this trifecta I mentioned. Okay. Don't go like you have to actually, you have to carve out your own road, like your own itinerary. All right. Literally. Not only at the wheel, but also like in terms of strategy. Okay. If everybody's going to load boards, you can't just keep on going on load boards. It ain't happening. Your revenue ain't happening there because it's too complicated. It's too competitive. It's too crowded. So look for those new avenues of revenue that I just spoke about, right? So freight dispatchers, freight brokers, your own network, local load boards. Not the big ass load boards nationally, like, the DATs of the world, the truck stop of the world. No, you want to find alternative load boards. This is how you can probably survive in this industry. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was quickly talking to you about how to properly bid on delivery jobs. Okay, you want to consider things like mileage, load, speed, the timing, and the wait time. And then I give you a few pro tips in terms of coming out on top all the time. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.